It was hailed as a miracle treatment, but for many, it was a death sentence. In the 1970s and 80s, thousands were infected with HIV or hepatitis C through factor VIII, a blood product used to treat haemophiliacs, whose blood doesn't clot properly. It was also given to people who needed blood transfusions. 35,000 were infected, including Body Shop founder Anita Roddick. She died from complications from hepatitis C decades after being infected by a blood transfusion when giving birth. Almost 3,000 have died, and the impact on survivors is profound. Sunday Times political editor and author Caroline Wheeler has been campaigning for victims for decades.
These individuals are people that have been fighting for answers for almost 50 years. Their lives have been completely destroyed. For those that haven't lost their lives, many of them have been unable to work, unable to have relationships, unable to live a normal life in any way, shape or form, riddled with disease often, hospitalised for long periods of time. They are still dying at the rate of 1 every 4 days. And that's just not right.
Factor VIII was largely imported from the States, and blood often came from prisoners and drug addicts. Warnings it was not safe were ignored for years. Colin Smith was given infected blood during a routine ear operation aged 2, despite an edict that it was not to be given to children. He died from AIDS at 7, weighing the same as a 4-month-old baby. His family were vilified, such was the stigma of AIDS at the time. And at Trelaw School in Hampshire, a boarding school for medically vulnerable youngsters, 122 boys were infected. Victims say they were used as guinea pigs, with no proper consent. All the boys in this picture have died, but the teenagers formed a pact to find out what was killing them. The 30 still alive are fighting for redress.
That's tough. I think about that every day.
And of the 7 brothers in the Corns family, 6 were haemophiliacs, all were infected, and 5 have died. Victims have appealed to politicians for many years. Finally, the then Prime Minister Theresa May announced a full public inquiry in 2017. Labour MP Diana Johnson has long campaigned for victims and is calling on the government to deliver.
This is a massive failure of the state. The chair of that inquiry has taken the very unusual step of announcing his recommendations on compensation in advance of his final report. In April this year, he said that he couldn't in all conscience wait because people were dying, people are suffering now. Many have died. Many will never see justice. We need political will by this government to do the right thing, and I'm hoping that will happen before Christmas.
After half a century of deceit, cover-ups and deflection, victims might, just might, soon get some measure of justice. Katherine Forster, GB News.